Hi, Zizaran here with another video for 3.15 Expedition League, and we are going to talk a little bit about the new skill gems, like we have the new values now, but also I want to talk a little bit about making and choosing a build for a new league start, because obviously I will be putting out a lot of build guides, but I want to talk a little bit about build guides, especially for new skill gems. In Path of Exile, oftentimes there will be something like Blade Blast, right? That has been in the game for a very long time, or Essence Drain that's been in the game for a very long time. And once we have the numerical value, we have a pretty good idea on whether it's going to be good or not, right? There are obviously some times where a skill has been like mechanically changed. One example being Explosive Arrow, or sometimes also things like Hex Blast, which might look really good on paper, but might feel garbage once they're in play. But once something just has a numerical change, again, very easy to realize early on that, yeah, this is going to be a really good league starter. And something that makes a good league starter is generally, it's very nice if it scales of gem level so that you don't have to focus very hard on equipment. And if a build works with, like, you know, rares and only rares, and you don't need very specific unique items, that makes it a really good league starter. It's obviously very bad if you end up spending multiple days trying to farm one unique that is like borderline mandatory for your build. For example, Tavukai for Summon Raging Spirits. And some of these can be very hard to get on solo self-found. Now, obviously we're getting a large amount of new gems to see, and this I'm really excited about because new gems in PoE is always really fun. Now, personally, I hope that all of them are slightly over-tuned because I think it's really cool when something is new in Path of Exile, if that is like, you know, you're a little bit encouraged to play and try out the new stuff. And I always hate when we get things like Crack Clans that has been just, Crack Clans was just worse than every other lightning seal. But that brings me to one of my main points of this video. So I will try to make some guides for the new skill gems. Obviously there are 16 new ones. We won't be able, like, our team's not big enough that we can make a video for each. But I want to talk a little bit about how you, as a at least a like medium experienced player, can get a little bit of extra advice on how to approach it. So obviously, a lot of the new skill gems are going to be similar to skills that already exist in the game. Like, for example, Eye of Winter could maybe be a little bit similar to like Icicle Mines / it's like, I feel like it's a little bit like Icicle Mines combined with Freezing Pulse. I think Eye of Winter might not necessarily be an amazing self-cast skill. It might be very similar to Diablo 2, Frozen Orb, but I think Eye of Winter will most likely be good on totems or on traps and mines, and they look pretty okay when we've been looking at them on paper. However, it's very important that when you are looking into this, you have to think, do I have a backup skill that looks okay on paper? So let's say for Eye of Winter, right? Then if I'm going Saboteur, which is a very strong ascendancy because you get like Shock and Fire ailment immune, and then you just need a Dream Fragments and you're elemental ailment immune now. Very good, right? Solid choice, great defenses, great damage. And you have lots of options, right? As a Saboteur, you can go loads of like traps or mines with not a very big respec. And things like Icicle Mines and stuff. So that is a very strong one, because if Eye of Winter is shit, you could be leveling up gems alongside it. Forbidden Right, this looks very hard to start with. I think it's going to absolutely decimate your character at the start. You're going to need a large amount of chaos resist. You're going to need maybe a large amount of regen and some good ways of mitigating this damage. Maybe you go low life, maybe you go CI, I don't know. But what I do know is that for Forbidden Right, we know, for example, that Essence Drain and Soul Rend and those scale skills, they should feel pretty good. Some people were worried about like the efficacy nerf for Essence Drain. However, we don't really need to use efficacy because you can do the 4-link gloves, and Empower is incredibly strong now, which will actually be a bit of a chase item, I think, in the upcoming Path of Exile League. But let's say Forbidden Right? For this one, you'd most likely be doing Soul Rend or Essence Drain early on and experimenting with Forbidden Right. It shouldn't really need much of a respec on the skill tree. It would just be like some gem changes and seeing like, it's a little bit early to swap. Oh, now it actually feels good. And obviously there are other things like maybe going it on totems, etc., to bypass the cost, and having the totems eat the cost could be good. However, I think doing Forbidden Totem or Totem Forbidden Right might like need cluster jewels to make it really pop off. Reaper, a little bit scary because obviously it doesn't really tell us anything about damage values, right? Or anything. It could be absolutely busted. It could be garbage. I would really love to do animate weapon and Reaper. I think Reaper like just looks really cool and I really want to make it work. Um, and whenever I'm making a new build guide for anything like this, I would love to try to do a Reaper build guide. However, and I'm going to stress this again in the video, for any new skill, this might be a clusterfuck. It's not going to be something I recommend for the newest players. Again, do what you want, right? Whatever's the most fun for you. But I try to be very, very frank in my videos if it's a high or low risk league starter. Because there's not really any reason to start with anything high risk when you can start with something low risk, make a buttload of currency, see a little bit about how other people are finding things, and then you have a buttload of currency to swap to a really cool build. That is really, really great for a lot of people, and you don't end up getting, well, you don't end up wasting your time as much. We've had one really bad experience in the past where Explosive Arrow looked really, really good on paper, and I know it ruined a lot of people's leagues that they weren't prepared for how bad it was going to be. And back then, I wasn't being clear enough about the alternatives of what you could swap to. So the number one thing for me when making build guides isn't necessarily just milking you guys for as many views as possible. It's making sure you guys come back in the future because you had a good time playing my builds. So I'm going to try to be very, very making sure there's good backups and everything for whatever we're doing. And there are several of the new skills that looks really cool. Explosion Concoction sounds amazing, but I mean, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, right? Because it's such a new way of building. It's going to be hard to like understand how to build it, I guess. But so many of the new skills look really cool. I really want to get something done with Absolution. I really, really want... I think we're going to be collabing with Steel Mage for a Shield Crush build. Rage Vortex looks interesting. Storm Rain is something I definitely want to do. Would love to have a bow build starter for you guys, other than the normal like Toxic Rain and stuff like that. And obviously Toxic Rain should still be very strong. And would love to see Aya Winter and do some theory crafting on that. Something that I think is going to be really fucking cool, and I kind of want to almost promise as a league starter, is going to be Chieftain Consecrated Path Totems. I think that is going to be absolutely ridiculous. So really, really looking forward to that. But yeah, that's the main thing I really wanted to talk to you guys about, is that if you are doing one of the new skills, make sure you have a backup skill. And then you might also be wondering, well, these are new skills. How do I know what ascendancy they're going to be the best on? So Aya Winter, for example, right? We've already compared it to, like, you know, we either put it on totems, then we're most likely going Hierophant. If I was self-casting it, which I think is the riskiest, then I would be going Occultist. It's obviously similar to a lot of other things like Freezing Pulse and Frostbolt. And if I'm going Traps, I'm going Saboteur, right? So you try to like compare it to things that already exist and what ascendancies they do. And you want to try to balance how much offense and defense you're getting for your ascendancy. Obviously, it's going to depend a little bit on, are you Trade League? Are you Solo Self-Fund? Are you on Hardcore? But yeah, so there are a lot of changes coming this patch. The biggest thing to be scared of, in my opinion, is mana usage. If a skill was very mana intensive and hard to manage before, it's going to be even more now. I think we'll see more people taking mana skill notes on the tree. One thing that's like really, really good if you're ever a Shadow is Soul Siphon. Feels amazing early. It's 10 mana gained on kill. So if you are feeling like you're struggling, especially if you find a Tabula early, Soul Siphon can be a godsend. So make sure you're a little bit ready for the mana changes. And yeah, there's a lot of cool new things to try. We'll be making build guides and stuff like that as much as we can. Like, I'll be staying up doing like 14 to 16 hours plus every day of making videos and POBs and shit like that for you guys. So we're going to try to have them as detailed and as clear as possible. And again, one of the biggest things you guys can do is to recommend the videos to other people. So if you do find that you're having a good time with them, that's awesome. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.